this is getting realer and realer. Drake just responded to Kendrick's double diss with Meet the Grahams and Not Like Us, where among other things he revealed that Drake has another daughter. Drake responded, and he responded with a new track called The Heart Part 6, where he says some very interesting stuff that once again turns this entire beef around. Let's talk about this. Let's break down what Drake said on this new track. If you want to stay up to date with everything surrounding hip-hop, make sure to subscribe and also become a part of this community by joining our Discord server in the description. So I literally dropped a video about the entire thing up to this point before the Heart Part 6 dropped, just a couple of minutes before Drake dropped the Heart Part 6. So you can go check that out in my latest video, but obviously that did get outdated quite quickly, which was sad because I put a lot of work into that video. But now we got to talk about this new one that Drake just put out, because as I said on Meet the Grahams, for example, Kendrick revealed that Drake had an 11-year-old daughter that he was hiding from the world, and a couple of other interesting things, but that was the main one. That was the one people were like, okay, this is over now. This is crazy. And now Drake responded and addressed this exact rumor in a way that we weren't expecting. So let's take a look at what Drake said on this track. As you know, we could tell the Heart Part 6 being a reference to the Heart series that Kendrick is doing, the latest being the Heart Part 5 in 2022 as part of the Mr. Morale rollout. But let's take a look at what Drake said, because there's a couple of interesting things. Also, maybe he doesn't really do himself a favor with some of these, but let's take a look at it. So the first bar that I want to put in here, because it becomes more important later, is that he's saying the ones that you're getting your stories from, they all clowns, referring to that, you know, the stuff that Kendrick knows about Drake is not really true because he gets his stuff, his info from the wrong people. But this becomes a little bit more important later on, because when we listen a little bit further, we can see that Drake says, "You waited for this moment, overcome with the desperation. We plotted for a week and then we fed you the information. A daughter that's 11 years old, I bet he takes it. We thought about giving a fake name or a destination, but you so thirsty, you not concerned with investigation." And this tells us that Drake set this whole thing up. He doesn't have an 11-year-old daughter. Somehow he got that info to Kendrick, and Kendrick thought, oh shit, I have this whole crazy story that I can use against Drake, but it wasn't even true. It's all fabricated by Drake himself, as he's saying. We don't know who to really trust, but it seems crazy that this could even go on. He then goes on to say, you gotta learn to fact check things and be less impatient, also referring to that Kendrick immediately always drops after Drake drops. Your fans are rejoicing, thinking this is my expiration. Even the picture you used, the jokes and the medication, the Maybach glove and the drug he uses for less inflation. Master manipulator, you bit on the speculation. And this refers to the cover of 616 in LA, I believe, or even the cover from Meet the Grahams with the OG cover with the, you know, medication on there and the Maybach gloves and all of the stuff that he just mentioned, that even that was set up and that there wasn't a crazy revelation about Drake's family or his dad or the medication he uses, but all of that was set up by Drake. Obviously, we don't know who to trust. This could just be a way to cope with it or to take a little bit of the sting out of that diss, but it's crazy that, you know, he even used it. And he also flips the word or the term master manipulator into something positive now, because Kendrick accused him of being a master manipulator, but he's now master manipulating Kendrick, which is crazy. Let's go on with a couple of bars on here. He says, and why isn't Whitney denying all of the allegations? Why is she following Dave Free and not Mr. Morale? You haven't seen the kids in 6 months. The distance is wild. Dave leaving heart emojis underneath pics of the child. This is referring to the stuff that Drake said on Family Matters, which he said that, you know, Kendrick was beating his wife and that he's not really seeing the kids, that one of the kids is actually Dave Free, so Kendrick's business partner. And also the cover for the Heart Part 6 is a comment from Dave Free under a picture of that child. So he's really going in on that route. And we don't know if that's true. It is kind of weird, but Whitney's never been that of a public person, you know, so we can't expect that. Maybe Kendrick addresses it on his next track, but this wasn't what I expected from Whitney. So, you know, you can kind of see that as a, whoa, why isn't she? But I don't really see it that hard. Let's keep going though. Then he says, my mom came over today and I was like, mother, I, mother, I, mother. Wait a second, that's the one record where you say you got molested. I just made the whole connection. This is about to get so depressing. This is trauma from your own confessions. This when your father leave you home alone with no protection, so neglected. That's why these pedophile raps is shit you're so obsessed with. It's so excessive. And then he goes on to make fun of the fact that Kendrick got molested. For example, he says, Touch My Body by Mariah Carey plays, and then he started reflecting. And this isn't what Mother I Sober is about. You know, on that track, actually, Kendrick denies the fact that he got molested. So, you know, you can kind of flip this all back on Drake. Being impatient, jumping on the first thing that you can kind of see or that you want to make a diss with, and not really digging deep into it. So this whole thing, these whole bars, they don't really hit as hard because it's just not true. That's not what the track Mother I Sober is about. But let me know how you feel about that. Let me know if you think that, you know, is a negative when it comes to the stuff that Drake, you know, is saying on this track. Let's keep going though with a couple of more things, because Drake then addresses this whole pedophile thing, saying, I'd never been with no one underage, but now I understand why this is the angle that you really mess with. Just for clarity, I feel disgusted. I'm too respected. If I was fucking young girls, I promise I'd have been arrested. I'm way too famous for the shit you just suggested. Saying that, you know, he hasn't been with an underage girl. I think there's videos of Drake kissing a 17-year-old on stage, so I don't know how that really holds up. Then he really goes on saying more stuff about it. You mentioned an A minor, but people gotta be sharp and tell the fans who was it. You thought you left D flat, D major. So he's kind of playing witty stuff with the scales on here. Also, I think Fantano pointed it out that B sharp doesn't even technically exist. So that's a little technical mistake Drake made right there. Then you say, I slit your throat with the razor and do Rick Ross air like that one flight from Malaysia. This is referring to, I think, Rick Ross's plane once landed or crash landed in Malaysia. And also there was a flight to Malaysia which got shot down by the Russian army. So that's hard. And then he says, only fucking with Whitney's, not Millie Bobby Brown's. I'd never look twice at no teenager. So again, going into that. Some people found it weird that Kendrick didn't even mention Millie Bobby Brown because there were some allegations that he was with her while she was underage. But he's now bringing it up. Kendrick never mentioned her. This is kind of weird. It seems like he's coping with that still. But I don't want to judge it. It just seemed kind of weird that he's bringing her up when Kendrick said nothing about her. Then he goes on to accuse Kendrick of buying views and bot comments, which I don't think is true. Kendrick just has a big fan base and people like his music. That's why his songs are so far, commercially, numbers-wise, doing better than Drake's. So that's that. Then the last bar on the rapping part of this before the outro is savage. Gotta say, I like it. That is hard. And Whitney, you can hit me if you need a favor. And when I say I hit you back, it's a lot safer, I promise. Referring to Kendrick hitting his wife. And when he says that he's hitting her back, meaning he responds to her, it's a lot safer. I thought that was kind of, that was smart. That was clever. I like that bar. And then on the outro of this track where he's just talking, he, also confirms the one before the last one, so Meet the Grahams. We finessed you into telling a story that doesn't even exist, and then you go drop the West Coast one to try to cover that up, which was not like us. So he knows what he's doing, I guess. Then he says, at least your fans are getting some raps out of you. I'm happy I could motivate you, bring you back to the game. And he says, just let me know when we're getting to the facts. Everything in my shit is facts. I'm waiting on you to return the favor. So he definitely wants to continue this exchange of diss tracks with Kendrick. I don't know, man. There is a lot to uncover. He's saying that the whole story with the child was a setup. He's saying that the cover art was a setup. And he's accusing Kendrick of some other things. I don't know which side I'm on now. Because if all of the stuff is true that Drake said, then this is a big L for Kendrick. That he fell for a fabricated story and thought that was the big diss. But I'm really unsure right now. I really want to know how y'all feel about this. Which side are you on? Who do you think has the stronger, arguments, the stronger bars? Let me know how you feel about this entire thing in the comments down below. If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media, and most importantly, join my Discord in the description. Until the next one, you'll have an incredible day, and y'all take care.